Hello, welcome back. We're just about to finish off Thrace. They have just one town left, and they have just one turn left until it surrenders. They still have a fairly sizable force ready to defend it, along with 3 generals, which is going to be kind of awkward to deal with, but we can actually do something here just to, I think, strengthen ourselves a bit. So I'm going to actually split our generals, just so they have one force each. We're going to go into the mercenary recruitment screen, and we do actually have some Bastani mercenaries available. Now these guys are extremely expensive, but when it comes to upkeep they're surprisingly cheap, and they are pretty solid sword and shield units, so I think we might as well recruit some of those. And then we have a pretty weak unit of mercenary peltas here, which we're going to move to our smaller force, and we are going to recruit a more healthy unit of those. That's quite a lot of our money gone, but we do still have about 9k left, and we can use that to recruit a legionary cohort and to get the Pantheon here. And the reason we want the Pantheon here is because, as you can see, our public order situation here is starting to slip. We're down to 70%, which is probably not going to result in riots, but we do need to be ready for public order problems in the very near future. Other thing we need to be very aware of is that Britannia, of course, have their 3 big stacks here, potentially going to come and attack us with it, but I'm hoping they're going to go to the east and start doing some damage to the Julii instead. That's the best possible outcome, but it's also fairly likely they're going to come to the west and start attacking Iberia. I did have to declare on them because it was the only way I had the chance to unite Iberia. What I probably shouldn't have done, of course, was auto-resolve against the Chariot General. That was a bit of a mistake, and I still can't believe the number of losses we took. It was nasty. I think we lost 1,300 in total. So, not going to try that again. Any future fights against Britannia, we're going to do it manually. Still worth it though, because we did manage to conquer 4 towns in the space of half an hour real life time, which is not bad. 2k left. I'm not sure if we should do something here. We could get an arena, but what we probably want to do instead is just keep it in the bank, essentially get some mercenaries with it. All of these towns are busy. We do actually have a couple of units of Hastati here that we can combine. Then we can at least improve the public order a little bit. I think that's probably good enough for this town, unless I'm forgetting something. There is a spy here, which can go into this town, because this is our best spy, or at least one of our best spies. And this guy is not quite as good, so we're going to send him to the easier town to get into. That improves him too, so that's good. And then we have a third spy here, which only has a 57% chance of getting into Salona, but we're going to give that a try. We're going to try and have just spies everywhere we can in the Roman towns. And over in Messana and these kind of Sicilian towns, we're going to start actually massing up a single force instead of transferring everything over to Capua, because we're going to use our Sicilian force specifically to attack Croton, which right now is pretty weakly defended. There is a big stack coming up, so that's all the more reason to have a strong force to attack from the south, instead of just everything branching out from Capua, which was my original plan, because as you may remember from the end of the previous part, we are now officially able to go and declare civil war on the other Romans, and I did commit to doing that right at the start of the campaign, even though it's definitely going to be the most painful way possible to close out this campaign. It should at least be a fun challenge, so definitely going to go for that. And I think we're good just to end the turn here. Let's see what happens. So we've already been kicked out of Apollonia, but that's fine. I'm pretty sure we can go back in. That is our best spy. Or a very good spy at least. Wow, okay, I'm really surprised by this. The Thracians did not make any attempt to save themselves, so we've just completely taken their town. I think that's probably because we had 2 really big forces here, so the AI probably made some kind of calculation that it wouldn't be worth it. I'm not sure what happened to our money. Suddenly says we're down to 74. Thought we had 2k. Rioting in Numantia, okay. So let's deal with this. Gonna have to make a few repairs. And this Sacred Circle of Epona is actually pretty good, just for the experience it brings. If we can use it, I'm not sure if we can, because it's not offering us a chance to retrain, although that might just be down to a lack of barracks here. In fact, I'm pretty sure it is. Yes, I'm going to try and hang on to this if possible, because it is going to be really good just for training up some forces. And let's see what else is going on. So back to being the most advanced faction. Thrace has officially been destroyed. I'm still really surprised by that. I thought they'd make some kind of attempt to stop us. But that's good. That means we're officially now readying for the Civil War. That's going to be the aim for the rest of the part. Just to be ready to declare when the time comes. We're definitely reaching that point. We're still making a lot of money. Admittedly, 12k of that has come from exterminating the Thracian town, but still. I'm going to send Marcellus Victor out, and I'm just going to... This is a little bit risky. I'm going to try dropping a fort here, which might be a mistake because it might just end up really annoying the Scythians. They're going to see it as trespassing, but if they do decide to turn on us, we're going to have at least 1 or 2 turns to prepare for that. And then we do have a free spy here now. We have quite a few free spies. I'm going to send this guy over to this town here, since we already have one in Porolissum, I guess. In our newly acquired town, we're going to begin by going for the army barracks, and we're going to try and retrain everything we can. So it looks like we have a pretty decent blacksmith here at least. In terms of recruitment options, we don't have too much, but we can get Archer Auxilia, which I think is probably the best option. Roman Cav is also potentially tempting, but we've got quite a lot of Cav here, so let's just go for the Archers. And then I think a lot of these towns should be free now, so in this one we're going to go as usual for legionary cohorts. We're going to keep training up peasants in Bielazora so we can send them to the east, and liberate Byzantium from having to be stuck with an extremely powerful garrison that is currently only being used to shore up public order. Tylus is pretty happy now, so let's bump them up slightly in tax rate. In fact, let's have a little look at the rest of our towns, because some of these are definitely going to be doing fine. So most of these are already on very high tax rate. Thebes is actually going to be pretty happy with us in the long term, I think. Styrica is improving. Let's put that up. And then Campus Getae, that's the one we've just taken over. I have to bear in mind there's a massive garrison in here, so that's not going to last. I'm not going to toy with that too much. And then Nepte, I think we're just going to play it safe. Okay, so 6k left in the bank. We have, I think, repaired quite a few buildings around here. There is the Egyptian force to the north here, which I think we can take out, but we'll bring up our forces from the south first. So let's take our family member, and pretty tempted just to leave the Triarii behind at this point. Let's see, the problem is that the mercenaries can be quite expensive just to pay for the upkeep on. I think that probably works for now. Let's send all these up to Memphis. Thebes is now not quite as happy as it was before, but we'll drop them down to normal tax rate and we'll just hire some peasants. If someone comes to attack this town, they could do if they drop off a force over to the east here, but I think that's pretty unlikely. I think it's most likely that they're going to come from the north. So we're going to send our spy up just to see what they could send our way. So there's a pretty big force here. It's only got a captain, and most of the units are pretty weak. Not too many Pharaoh's guards or anything like that, so that's all fine. Yeah, we can definitely handle that. This guy is going to launch an attack on Salamis. Should be able to take that from the start of next turn. Just the one very weak unit in defense there, so that's going to be completely fine. There is a navy here, but that's pretty weak, so we can probably actually go and attack that. Get a clear victory and drive it off. And we will go to blockade next turn. It looks like the Brutii here are going to start expanding more into Asia Minor, so we need to be ready to go and attack them. Let's begin with Rhodes. We do need more infantry here, but I really don't like recruiting the early legionary cohorts. They are a bit crap. For now we will go with some more archers. And then we do have our general here. His main job is to pick up Cretan archers. I'm not sure I want to actually send him off the island. I'm going to keep him on the island. And we are just going to send the mercenaries back to the mainland. Got a few other options here. Mercenary hoplites is pretty tempting. I think we might as well get some of those. They're not good against Romans though, that's the thing. I have to bear that in mind. They're not going to have a particularly great time against the Brutii. So on reflection, probably shouldn't have bought those, but never mind. Let's see, so the rest of our towns are still pretty busy. This one already has a very large number of Archer Auxilia, but of course we can mix and match later on. Let's go for Roman Cav for now. Thessalonica is very low on pop. Silas is busy, Campus Getae is all fine. Okay, so let's go over to Iberia, and let's make sure... Queuing up lots of infantry, as yeah, it looks like the Britons are actually going to go for the attack on the Julii, so that's perfect. They've got some more forces to the north, but for now looks like they're going to be playing pretty defensively with those. Yeah, so this is the absolute perfect outcome. We're going to let these two fight each other for a bit. In theory, it looks like the Britons would win this, but the Romans being the Romans, they will probably ultimately overcome the Britannia, so we'll wait until that happens, and then hopefully they will have weakened each other enough that it will be the perfect time for us to strike. Bring this guy up to command the forces, and then we've got this guy who's just going to try and build a fort. I'm not sure where exactly we can do this. I think right here is a little bit too close to the coast.
Forward. No more moves, sir.
Can still drop a watchtower though, which I think is going to be worth doing.
At your service. Moving.
And then I wasn't particularly bothered about expanding further into the Egyptian lands, but thinking about it, I do think that's probably something that's naturally going to happen, so might as well start preparing for that. And then we only have 1,700 left to spend. Should have some free capacity up in Capua now, so let's go ahead and get one more unit of Praetorian cohort. Do have absolutely loads of them, but once the archery range is finished off, we'll be able to start focusing on archers instead. This particular force could actually stop off in Sicily, but no, I think we're going to send these up to Capua too.
Yes, Captain. Leading the army. All ashore.
And I think for now that's probably good enough. I don't think we need to be ridiculously aggressive here.
Settlement under siege.
Send the turn. Okay, so it looks like we got killed at Salona, but that's fine. That's going to happen sometimes. Kicked out of Thurman, okay. That's fine, we don't need to be spying on them immediately, we can just move into them later on. The Scythians are certainly considering attacking us, as yeah, our public order seems to be dropping across the board. I'm not sure what's happening with that. Let's try just dropping the tax rates for now. Yeah, this town in particular is doing really badly. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a Brutii spy in here, but I'm not sure how they would have got here. We're not making too much money either. That's another thing to bear in mind, is once we do go to war with the other Romans, we're going to lose our trade rights with them. So we're going to be making a bit less. We've actually got a second general over in Egypt now, so that's great. Someone else we can make a push with. Or we can just leave him as a governor. Either option should work. All the repairs are done in Numantia, so the public order situation has improved a little bit, not a huge amount. I think we'll give it some time just to grow its population a bit more first.
Forward. Ready to ambush.
Okay, so we can drop a fort here, so let's just go for that.
Build fort.
And let's just send one of these weaker units just to fill this up.
Onward. Out of move, sir. General. Sir. General. Onward. Out of move, sir.
Yeah, it does look like they're considering going for the attack on this. What I'm not sure is whether dropping the fort here has in fact enticed them into going for an attack they otherwise wouldn't have gone for. That's the risk, I guess, but it felt like a good place to drop a fort, so
Imperator. Onward.
I don't necessarily regret it just yet. Okay, so let's see. Can't see what this force has. We should have another spy somewhere. No, I guess it's just the one. Okay, so they're coming to the west. I think we definitely want to use our Archer Auxilia against that force in particular. We don't have too many of those, so let's actually recruit one.
Orders. Orders. General. 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 Imperator. Orders. Sir. Prepare for battle.
Okay, we can't actually reach these this turn, but that's fine. We should be able to take them out next turn before the other force arrives. And we can potentially take this particular force out on the bridge if they do decide to fight us there. I suspect they'll probably back off once we go for them. but still. So we were never going to go for Pergamum, because we really don't need to go to war with Pontus. I don't see any point of doing that. And then I can't actually remember why this force is so weak. A lot of these units are significantly weaker than they would have been. It's possible that it was to do with the plague. I think we got the plague in Capua. I can't fully remember. But some pretty weak units here. Let's join all these up. Could actually retrain these. That's probably gonna make sense. Our faction leader in the capital here, Lucius the Engineer, blatant adulterer. He regularly commits adultery with the wives of his close associates and underlings, and for some reason that results in +1 morale for all troops on the battlefield. It does result in -1 influence, but still, that's a bit of a strange one. I think, having spent all our money, we probably can't do too much else now. Let's just bring this guy up to join with the rest of our forces. And let's send this guy over to spy on the Julii. Definitely want to keep one spy looking at Britannia. And we should have a second one coming up, which we will use to keep an eye on their movements. And I think for now, that is probably fine. So next turn, one thing I should have done actually in hindsight, is I should have attacked Salamis. Okay, never mind. So next turn we're definitely going to have some kind of fight against the Egyptians. Okay, so the Egyptians are coming to attack us. I'm kind of surprised by that, but let's see how it goes. It means that they have to come to us, so it should be pretty easy to take them out. Okay, so we don't really have any kind of hill to work with here, but I think this kind of setup should be fine. Thinking about it, I didn't actually set up my archers, but we've got range superiority and we're also stronger in just about every other category, so this should be fairly easy, I think. So what are they coming with? So Pharaoh's Guards are their strongest unit, or at least the best infantry unit. They're also coming up with lots of Desert Axemen, which will have a good matchup against us, but hopefully we can charge them down with our cav before they can do too much damage. These guys can get involved straight away, and the rest of our cav need to prepare to charge into the Axemen. Should be able to rout them pretty quickly, I think. Yeah, I'm really surprised if they came for this fight. I know they couldn't have done anything else. I know they were trapped. But you would have thought the AI would just chance it with us choosing not to attack them. They have gone for it. They are taking quite a few losses. These guys are choosing the worst possible route, but they get away with it. The Desert Axemen are already routed, so actually thinking about it, if we just change all these to flaming ammo, we can probably rout these pretty quickly. I don't really want these guys getting involved in that. We've actually managed to rout them, so that's great. Really surprised they went for this fight. This was never going to go too well for them. Already quite a few of them routing. Various guards panicked by the fire attack. They do actually have quite a few range units, so let's go and charge these down. Got a bit of lag here, not really sure why. Not too many units on the field. Pharaoh's bowmen are actually pretty good at hand-to-hand fighting, so we do want to surround them and try and break them as soon as we can. The more time we spend fighting them, the worse for us, really. Okay, good, we've broken them. So it's just the Pharaoh's bowmen, just the Pharaoh's guards left, and they do give up. So that was really not a good idea for them to take that fight. Didn't actually need to use any of our peeler at all. Managed to completely break them. Okay, so that wasn't the most thrilling fight, but we do have a much bigger force coming up. Should be pretty interesting because they do have numbers, but we have much superior units. So I'm pretty keen to take them on, see what happens. Doesn't look like they come too much closer. Blockade the port at Londinium, that's a long way away. I'm kind of surprised they want me to go for that. Doesn't look like they've gone for the attack against the Julii yet, but they do have a few big forces here. A little bit concerned by this because it kind of looks like they're getting ready to take some kind of transport ship and attack us that way. But I've never really known the AI to be quite that organised, so hopefully they're not going to do that. Elsewhere, we can now launch our attack on Cyprus, and that is massively in our favour, so definitely just going to auto-resolve this one. They do manage to get a few kills, but that's fine. They are not happy with us, so we're just going to play it safe and exterminate. And let's see, so can't recruit too much here. If we go for the Legion Barracks, that does enable us to recruit early legionary cohorts. Not a big fan of those, but might be our best option. Other options are to get the archery range. Enables us to feed in a steady flow of archer auxilia. That's probably for the best. If we do combine this force with our forces to the south, over in Alexandria and Memphis, then we probably want to feed in archers from Cyprus and focus the other towns on infantry instead. We get the repairs done, and over here in the south, it looks like, yeah, the Egyptian army, I stand corrected, has actually come to attack us. It's a bit complicated here. I think the only way they can attack us is by going over this bridge. So I could meet them there. If I try to attack them with this particular general, they are probably just going to move away from me, I think. Not necessarily, but I think that's probably what would happen. Let's see. So these forces can't reach. I definitely could meet them on the bridge. But I'm not sure they'd attack me, that's the thing. I think we should go for it because we can get them in our zone of control. Yeah, they do back off. And they do somehow manage to cross the river. I'm not sure how that works. Unless they had the movement points for that. We can see exactly what they've got though, so yeah, it's very heavily infantry based, almost no archers, so we're going to want lots of archers. Let's get a few more in this town. In fact, let's just go for it in both towns, because this next force coming up is also extremely infantry focused, so yeah, it does make sense to keep bringing up the archer units. Jerusalem is reasonably heavily defended. Sidon, pretty weak. Okay, so we're going to want more spies, I think. We don't really have enough of those. Let's actually not train one of these units of archers, although this town might be better to recruit spies with. Can recruit legionary cohorts there, but can do the same thing here, so let's actually go for the spy here, and let's get the archer auxilia over in the south. It's not really going to be urgent to bring that up. Our public order does seem to be dropping across the board pretty quickly. I'm really not sure why. This is going to really hurt our income, that's the thing. But I think we have to do it. Okay, so we've freed this guy up. He should now be able to come and command some forces over in Oscar. I'm going to send some auxilia over to Oscar as well. They should be pretty good against the chariots, especially if we bunch them up. And then even Capua is unhappy at this point. I am really surprised by this. I'm going to retrain all of our weaker units here. And let's recruit at least some kind of unit. So let's get some archer auxilia. We have now finally finished the archery range. Thinking about it, if we can build a building instead, that's got to be worth doing. Not too many great options, so rather than reversing everything we just did, let's go ahead and just do the retraining. And then I think it is time to get ready to finally kick off the Civil War. So this is where the campaign is going to get extremely challenging, I think. I mean, this particular force is not too strong. It's very heavily composed of skirmisher units. Quite a few war dogs too. Not too many post-Marian units, but still, the Julii are definitely going to cause us some problems. I do want to see them go to war with Germania before we declare on them, because we want them to be as stretched as possible. I also want to see what happens with them in Britannia, but I don't think there are many reasons to drag this out much longer. I think it is pretty much time now to kick it off. So, let's see. What do we want to attack and where? So Croton is fairly heavily defended. Gonna need something slightly better to attack that. Let's start sending these over. I'm just going to auto-resolve this. We only take 24 losses, which is kind of annoying, but hopefully can just retrain them. Moving to Masana. Stick these on the ship. Syracuse has now dropped to 65% public order. I'm just going to move that up to monthly games. We're going to take our peasants from Bylazora and start moving them towards Byzantium. And we're going to start moving at least some of our forces out of Byzantium, which is going to cause us some problems for public order, but I think that should be fine once the actual peasants arrive. We're going to take our forces out of Corinth and move them towards Thermon. It's going to cause some problems for public order here, but that's fine. It's going to be worth it. So that is a full stack there. We've also got lots of archers and things available up here. These should probably attack Apollonia. Need to mix them with some kind of infantry force if we can. Probably do that next turn. I'm going to send these up to the north to join our forces from Bylazora. We don't have a general here, but we do have... Actually, it's a little bit weaker than I expected here. Yeah, we do just have a very disproportionate number of Archer Auxilia now that I think about it. I did think we had a few more legionary cohorts than that. Okay, so let's fix the public order here. We've got a few legionary cohorts here that we can bring up. Okay, so that's not hugely imbalanced, it's not great. We do have obviously lots of legionary cohorts here that we can use to kind of even things out a bit. We probably do want more generals. Bring these up too. We don't have too many cav, that's the other thing.
Fleet ready! Ready to sail! Aye, Captain. Set sail! General!
Our forces here I think we're going to probably send to attack Helicarnassus. I'm not sure they can actually fend off this family member if he turns back though, so still need to do a little bit more preparation on that side. Over in Tylus we have a pretty strong and pretty balanced force. So let's leave the peasants behind, and the rest we will start moving probably towards Porolissum. Might be a little bit overkill, but I think it does make sense to do that. And then we've got our two generals here, we're definitely going to send both of them. And some of these weaker units we're going to leave in the town, so the Thracian mercenaries we're probably not going to use. Probably also don't need all these peltas, so let's leave a few of them behind. Start making our move.
March! Out of move, sir. Imperator! Forward! Moves depleted, sir.
Might have gone a little bit overkill here. Okay, so we're going to need to go and cancel something. We probably don't need this unit of Archer Auxilia, now that I think about it. Then we'll come back to Campus Getae, and we're just going to get some peasants, play it safe. This could entice the Scythians into attacking us. I'm hoping it won't, because we can turn back. Hopefully their spy can see we do have a big force here. That is the risk. I could definitely see that Scythia will come and attack us if we leave this place too weakly defended. We just have to hope that they are somehow aware that we are the strongest faction on the map, and so hopefully they'll weigh that into their decision before they commit. And I'm also going to send these into the town just to absolutely make sure it stays as friendly as possible. Yeah, even Parma's unhappy, so loads of our towns are really starting to become very unhappy. We do need a governor's villa here, so that's something we could pretty easily solve. But probably not until next turn. Over in mainland Italy, let's see who's our best general here. So this guy's 3-star faction leader. This guy we should definitely leave as some kind of governor, so we'll probably leave him in Capua. And this guy's also pretty good as a governor. Okay, so best general probably is this guy. I send him with another general just as a backup who can then become the governor of Rome. Move these out, that's going to make Capua even less happy, but we can easily drop the tax rate there. So we're really not going to be making much money from next turn onwards, but I'm hoping the forces we have here should be enough. Let's see, so we don't really have enough archer auxilia.
Fleet ready.
Yeah, I think the Italian mainland is probably the area I have the most doubts. Because we're only really producing units from Capua, which might not be enough.
Fleet ready. Sir. Forward.
Mercenary option's not too great here.
Forward. Imperator. Onward.
Okay, so this force is pretty good. We don't need a unit of 7
March. Sir.
mercenaries. So let's swap them out for something slightly better.
Sir. Sir. Onward.
And then I think we'll just end the turn and see what happens with the Romans. So this town's pretty weakly defended. Unfortunately, Britannia doesn't seem to have gone for it. Egypt does have a fairly big force here, but yeah, I'm actually not at all worried about them. They're not as strong as I thought they would be. Pontus loses to the Brutii. That's not good. Siwa is unhappy. That's also not very good because this is a long way from everything else. New commander we will accept. Rioting in Athens. Okay, so a lot of these towns we do need to change up quite a lot because they no longer have the garrison they once did. Let's see, so over in Siwa, this should be pretty easy to solve. Just going to drop them to a medium tax rate. And yeah, we're actually losing money now, so it's definitely time to go for the attack. Rioting in Lepsis Magna as well. Yeah, everywhere seems to be getting really unhappy all at the same time. I can build a governor's villa there, so when we have some money to do that, that's probably the thing to do next. Over here in Thapsus, let's just hit this with everything we have. They're not too strong, so it should be pretty easy just to run these down. I'm going to do this one manually just because I really don't trust the auto-resolve to not take heavy losses here. Obviously shouldn't, but with the Peltas in particular, I can imagine that the AI would somehow manage to give them quite a few kills. I'm going to try and charge into them and rout them immediately, and then the town militia should go down because we're going to hit them with all of our peeler at once. Hopefully we'll take almost no losses here. Okay, they're not going to get a chance to fire, so that's perfect. These guys will hopefully turn back to take on our Hastati. Hopefully these guys will be able to launch a volley before the opponents engage. They do seem to be forming up, which is a big mistake. We've successfully charged into the skirmishes. Not doing a great job of throwing our peeler here, but hopefully they will break pretty quickly. Yeah, they do. Perfect.
Show their true virtue. They are not soldiers, only frightened rabbits running from our men.
Okay, that was fairly easy, but we do have a much bigger fight coming up in Egypt. I think we probably do just want to go for this. I'm sure I can rejig my army a bit. It's not the best. Okay, so let's take some of these weaker units.
We can't do that, sir. Not possible, sir.
Okay, we can't do it.
Engage the enemy. Victory!
Okay, so we are going to have to chase those units down, but hopefully they can't run for too much longer. This town is not too happy with us, so let's drop them to a low tax rate. And yeah, we're really running low on money now, so gonna need to start exterminating towns. I think that's the only realistic way we're gonna start getting our funding back.
Orders?
Here in Italy, I am very nervous about the sheer number of Brutii that seem to be forming up next to Capua. I think these could give us some real problems. On the other hand, they do seem to be led by war dogs, which suggests they might not have a great composition. Still, we're not able to keep training units anymore, so could actually have some trouble fending these off. Still, over in Greece, we're definitely going to be able to take Thermon and Apollonia pretty quickly. I think we're just about strong enough to take Prolyssum too. Then over in Iberia, we're probably good enough to make a move on Narbo Martius, but I want to see what happens with Britannia, so I might give that 1 or 2 more turns. But I think we have pretty much prepared for the civil war as much as we probably should. In the next part, we are going to be kicking that off. We're going to be finally going to war with the other Roman factions. There's going to be a lot of fighting, but I think that's going to be the last phase of the campaign. Once we take them out, or at least once we take our 50 settlements, that is going to be the end, and we're going to have some really big battles coming up, so it should be interesting. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.